Hey guys, Donna Schwartz here from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com, the site for practical tips and solutions to improve your musical performance. Okay, I'm a little late today because the hotel connection here is not the best. You see me with this mammoth of a beast right here. Yeah, my saxophone's in here. This is one of the things I'm going to talk about today, actually, on this Facebook live broadcast. I want to talk about playing whether you're in an apartment or a hotel. It's very hard to practice in those kinds of situations because a lot of times you're dealing with neighbors, especially if there's thin walls. You know, it makes it kind of tough. So I want to give you a couple of options today for how to deal with that, and this mammoth of a thing is going to be one of them. But first I want to start off with a quote, and this is a quote from Miles Davis, and it's basically this. You're not going to know, actually let me get the quote, I'm going to read it for you, and it's this. When you hit a wrong note, let me get it again, sorry, it's too funny. When you hit a wrong note, it's the next note that makes it sound good or bad. When you hit a wrong note, it's the next note that makes it sound good or bad. That's a Miles Davis quote, actually, and you can picture Miles saying that. Funny thing is, one of my first mentors had always said to me, Donna, when you're playing, if you make a mistake, just go up or down a half step, and more than likely that note is going to sound better in the chord, okay? So, let me just get this a little bit over here. There we go. So, same thing as Miles Davis is saying. You know, it's the next note. If you hit a sour note, the next note is the one that counts. What I would add to that, too, is if you hit a note that's kind of sour, well then, you know, don't make it sound like a mistake, or don't make a facial expression that says, oh, I made a mistake. You intended it, right? So, you know, if you're doing a pattern, or if you're doing something like that and you go something like, right, that was a 2-5-1 in concert B flat, so instead of going boo-ba-doo-ba-ba, I went boo-ba-da-ba-ba. I realized it was the wrong note, I resolved it up a half step, and it worked, okay? So, little pointer on that. Okay, so let me get right down to it, because I gotta admit, this thing is heavy. Okay, playing in situations where you have to be quiet. And you know, it's kind of nerve-wracking too, because I'm in a hotel right now. It's early in the morning, and I had to do this Facebook live session early in the morning because I have to head out to something in like a couple of minutes. So I'm going to try to keep this short today too. People are probably still sleeping. You know, that's the other thing I got to think about. But generally speaking, you know, I'm speaking from a U.S. point of view. For the most part, if you're playing between the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. in most cities, counties, whatever, you're allowed to do that. You have to, you know, look at your city ordinances, or, you know, there's rules for your apartment building, your condo, wherever you are, even the hotel you're staying at. Generally speaking, you know, you're not going to make a boatload of noise, but you know, you need to be wary of your neighbors, but if you're going between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m., you should be okay. You just have to be mindful of your neighbors, okay? So, first thing I want to show you is the most expensive solution. It's called Sax Partner. This is made by Vibes. There's another one out by eSax. These are like whole instrument mutes. Let me see if I can get this camera so you can see this. Now, you notice I have this on a stand. I need to. I've got to be honest with you. This thing, for a tenor sax, it's heavy. Okay, for me, it's ridiculously heavy. On an alto, it may not be so bad, but for the tenor, it's heavy. You know, for me to just hold this as is, you know, as if I have my neck strap attached, but if I held it and played it without the stand, it would be very uncomfortable, and it would lead to bad habits in terms of posture, in terms of tenseness in my hands, in my forearms, and we don't want that either, okay? So luckily enough, when I actually picked this up off of eBay, the person that I got it from had a stand. Now, my problem is that I'm not short, I'm vertically challenged. So this thing when it's on the stand, if I put it upright, I can't play like that, can I? So I have to kind of adapt and maneuver this thing so I can get it so that it comes into my mouth. However, it's not the angle that I usually play at, and that's another issue, and that's probably another issue for another Facebook Live. So this is coming at me at a little bit different angle, but anyway, let me play a little bit here. And I'm playing with pretty good volume in here. I'm not, I'm not blasting, but I'm not holding back too much. Let me let you so you can see more of this. Hey Carlos, hey everybody. Okay, let me just get the angle a little bit better here. Okay. Testament comes out. The other thing too to keep in mind with these mutes, let me see if I can get it to come out. Low notes don't come out. Once you get to D should come out. C's a little dicey. The low B and the low B flat are not going to, come out all the time. This particular one by Vibes, the Sax Partner, has a little piece that you could stick in the bell of your horn before you put it in this monstrosity, and should help with the low notes. But to be honest with you, it did not work for me. Okay, so I'm just being honest with you. A couple of features about this, and probably the E-Sax, is this feature over here. Now, this is a little control thing. You put two batteries in here, probably AAA, and then you have controls here. You could plug in your iPad or iPhone or whatever device you use, and then plug it into your into your iPad or whatever, and then you could put headphones on, and you could play along with stuff. Okay, so you're not making that much noise. So that's pretty cool over here. I didn't enable that function because I honestly, I'm not seeing myself practicing on this thing in the hotel. But listen, you're not going to be able to hear this right now because it's going to take me a bit to take the instrument out of here, and I'm going to try to show you that as best as I can. But listen to how it sounds with this thing on as a mute, a saxophone mute, compared to some of the other options I'm going to show you. Which, by the way, you're thinking, well, why can't I just stick something in the bell, like trumpet players do and stuff like that? Well, I'm going to show you something like that later. The only problem is that the sound doesn't just come out the bell. Remember, a lot of the pads, a lot of the keys, you have to press down, right? The keys are open. So that's where sound is coming out too. So you have to keep that in mind as well. That's why, as woodwind players, we have an issue with a mute, so to speak. Trumpet players, trombone players, tuba players, we have practice mutes, okay? And if I get a chance, I'll pop one out and I'll show you later. We've got the practice mutes. Mine is actually a Dennis Wick from, oh my God, probably the mid-1980s. I also have a silent brass practice mute, which is great. I didn't bring that with me on the trip, but I have the first iteration of the silent brass, where it's a practice mute, but it also attaches to earphones, so you could hear yourself, but also to like a control unit where you could change the background room that you're playing in, so you could have the ambience of a concert hall or a practice room or a classroom. So that was pretty cool. They have a new iteration of it out, the silent brass, which is a little bit smaller with the control box. Obviously, new iterations are usually better. With this, you're probably wondering, how am I getting my hands in here? You just put my hand right in there, and that's where the keys are. So they carefully place these holes with these foam-like material to put your hands in so you can reach the keys, okay? So this is Vibes Sax Partner. Let me just level it out for you, and again, give you a sound. I know, this looks really funny. Actually, I'm dying here. That D's getting a little dicey too. So I play a little bit louder, play a little softer. All right, let me show you how this goes in here. I'm gonna kind of get this down a little bit. Give me a second. This is really heavy. Yeah, I've got this over here. All right. And I'm gonna change the angle of the camera. See this? Okay. So I've got it on the bed here, and there's a whole bunch of latches. If you're going to use something like this, you must tighten all the latches. If you don't, you're taking a chance with your horn. Okay, carefully open it up, and this is how it fits in. This is like when you go to a studio, right? Like the eggshell carton type of thing. This is the foam in here. I'm going to be honest with you, this particular one, probably because it's a knockoff of the E-Sax. It's probably not made as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind. My horn fits in here. There's some braces that are a little too easy to adjust. So let me just get the horn on myself for a second. These braces pop right out. All right, that I'm not too thrilled with, but they do that for a reason because every horn's a little bit different. So in order to ensure the best fit, you can move them so that the brace goes just below the neck. See, this moved on me. And this brace also goes right in the crux of the bow over here. Okay, so that is one option. I'm going to show you another option, and let me give you a little backstory with this one. Okay, this is actually called the Saxophone Mute. This is a knockoff though. This one I got, I don't know if it was on eBay or something like that. I got it for really, really cheap, less than $10. So let me play a little bit, and then I'll tell you who makes a better brand. Again, when you're covering the bell, and let me show this to you as I'm playing, when you're covering the bell, okay, you're not going to get the low notes to come out. Okay, this is starting to come out a little bit. Okay, so. I'm actually trying to play soft because I feel like this is not going to damp the sound as much as the other thing. So let me do that line again. Okay, so let me explain this. Basically, a handle to put it in. I could try turning it the other way. Let me do that. No, it's the same thing. Is this? Okay, that feels a little louder. It's just a saxophone mute. You can see it's falling apart. I've got to glue this a little bit better. Steve Goodson makes one. You could check out his site. It's probably a little better. This is very, very tinny. I don't see how this can even dampen the sound that much. I mean, it's okay. It's certainly a lot cheaper than that, you know, either the E-Sax or the Vibes Sax Partner. Steve's, I'm not sure the exact price, but I know it's probably like 30, 40, maybe $50 or something like that. But if you're in a situation where you're in an apartment or a hotel and you travel frequently, you know, Steve's thing may be very good for you because you just stick it in the bell, okay, so it's easier to transport. That, like you can see that right now, that Sax Partner or the E-Sax, that's just another piece of luggage you've got to carry on, okay? It's big, right? It's big and it's, you know, it's bulky. It's, by itself, it's fairly light. Let me just latch this in and pick it up. itself, it's well, somewhat light, okay, but it's big. All right, it's the tenor sax version. Like I mentioned before, the alto sax version obviously is going to be a little bit lighter, maybe less bulky to be able to hold up in practice like they show in their advertising pictures. But for me, that doesn't work for me. Okay, that's for extreme situations. If I'm going away for a long time, I may use that, but I have to use this stand. Like I said, I was very lucky that when I got mine, it came with a stand where I could put the E-sax right on top of this. Although unfortunately for me, it still makes it doesn't go down low enough, okay? Now here's another option. So we went from expensive to, pretty much inexpensive to free. And let me give you, let me do this first, and then I'll give you a backstory with this one. So I put the hand towel in the bell. Okay, let me show you that again with the hand towel in the bell. I could pretty much cram it in, but it's better to leave it a little bit out. Just like that, okay? Out here. Okay, so it kind of actually fell in on me, but you notice when you play this replay back, or if you're on YouTube or wherever you're checking it out, this is definitely just as effective as this. Now again, I don't know if Steve Goodson's brand is probably made much better than this. Like I said, this is very tinny. But right now, for what I have, this is just as effective, and to be honest with you, I think this is just as effective as the E-Sax or the Vibe Sax Partner. And it's free. If you have one at home. If not, what? A couple of bucks. So this is a good alternative. Here's the backstory behind this. I went to having dinner, and I like to go eat at places where there's live music. You always want to support your friends. You want to support live music. It's very important. Okay, so we went to a place that had live jazz, awesome, and really good tenor saxophone player. His name was Javier, great guy. And so we're watching. I'm like, what the hell is that in his bell? And I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, and I wasn't very close, but I was close enough to see that there was something in his bell. So when the set ended, I said, hey, you're a great player. He really was. This guy was great. I said, do you have something in your bell? And he's like, yeah, I have a hand towel. I have a hand towel because in this particular place, they don't want the music being very loud at all. Now that's hard. That's hard for wind players. We don't have a volume control. All right, the volume control is us. So it's really hard for wind players to have to sit there all night and play soft, right? So he learned about this trick from somebody else, but he had a hand towel in the bell the entire night. And I said, oh, that's really interesting. But he said to me, when you have that hand towel in the bell, you're not going to be able to play the lowest notes. No B flat, and probably no C. Maybe a C sharp, but probably not. So you have to be careful with that kind of stuff. You're not going to be able to do those notes. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. But that's a great, like I said, this is a great idea if you are traveling in a hotel, travel a lot, all those types of things. If you live in an apartment, it's a tough one. I mean, you can use this, but then you're going to have a difficult time. You're not going to be able to develop your low note technique. With the E-Sax or the Vibes Sax Partner, if you use that insert that they give you into the bell, you may be able to play the low notes, and that would be good for you because again, you don't want to avoid a certain register on your horn to practice with. And although that thing is bulky, it's a little hard to deal with. That's an option for you. And I'm going to say that probably Steve Goodson's Sax Mute, not this cheap knockoff. You could try this out as well. Again, if you're in that unfortunate situation where your neighbors complain and that kind of thing. But again, like I said in the beginning, check your city ordinances, check your, the rules in the hotel, the rules in the apartment or condo, what hours can you like play a radio or, you know, make noise or whatever, and you should be able to follow that. You know, you should be good with that. The other thing too, though, to think about, this is a good way to learn how to practice softly, okay? So, hey, thanks Venice Music for sharing the video. And those of you that are on right now, thank you for attending live, I appreciate it. You know, please share this right now, that would be really awesome. Practicing softly. This is a good way to do that. Now, I am gonna put this in because it is early in the morning where I am right now, so I don't want to kill anybody, but. It's a good way to work on your breath support and certainly not biting the reed and that kind of thing, okay? And speaking of, you know, softly and tone, if you're not on my waiting list for when my course, Get a Killer Saxophone Tone, comes out, do that. I will put the link in the show notes, so to speak, later on when the replay comes out. So that's Get a Killer Saxophone Tone, sound like a pro without breaking the bank. And with that theme, without breaking the bank, this is my recommendation for right now. This doesn't break the bank at all. And then, like I said, Steve Goodson's Sax Mute would be the next step with that. The other thing too is this is the last week for that 50% off discount for all your, you know, ligature needs or clarinet barrel needs at Rovner Ligatures, at RovnerProducts.com. So if you want in on that 50% discount, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. The link is in my latest articles. I interviewed George Reeder from Rovner Products. He went over all the new Rovner ligatures. They're awesome. I've got the Van Gogh right here. It's really cool because this is one of the ligatures where you don't have to keep the screw tightened all the time. Here's the screw tightened. I'm going to turn it one notch loose. Even with the rag stuffed in the bell, you can hear a little bit of a difference, okay? So last week for the Rovner discount, check it out. Again, I'll put the link in the show notes. Okay, this is going to be a shorter session. I got to get cracking. Thanks to those of you that join me live. Thank you to those people that are attending every week. I really appreciate it. I like, you know, we're having a great discussion in the comments, which is awesome. I appreciate it. Always, you know, it's always good to have a good discussion and positive comments and all that kind of stuff. If you're on YouTube, thanks for, you know, checking out this video. Subscribe to my channel, okay? And also subscribe to my website, DonnaSchwartzMusic.com. You get a free weekly newsletter with practical tips and solutions every Tuesday, all right? So sign up, but particularly sign up on the link below with the Rovner discount, all right? I want you to take advantage of that 50% off because it ends March 31st, 2017. So you don't want to miss out on that. That's an awesome discount, okay? All right, thanks folks for joining me. Have a great weekend. Take care.